A jolly good morning to you, and welcome back to your favorite morning show hosted by the Summer Sambit, only on YouTube. This show covers a variety of rants, intelligent rants, including the fact that we cover very controversial and unfiltered topics. If you ever wanted an unfiltered channel to follow, this is the one. I barely do these intros, so I'm just trying something new. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe because it helps me more than you think, and it motivates YouTube to, fucking give me some money. And in case you have missed it, please follow my other videos and follow all my accounts to stay updated on the daily rants. And also, I'm trying to cut as less as possible in my edits because I'm trying to make my message to you guys as organic as possible. So pardon my grease and stutters, the value of the video will still be the same. It's just gonna be less cuts and it's gonna be more organic, more as if it's you and I having a conversation rather than you watching a heavily edited video. Kind of like the other news channels you see out there. Who knows? Maybe they even cut out important parts. Wink. But speaking of unsubscribing, you can always unsubscribe from my channel for various reasons. And speaking of unsubscribing, yesterday I was watching the news, and one of the main headlines was that there was a very disturbing increase in the amount of police officers who were unsubscribing from the police force. By that, I mean they were leaving the police force. Registered police officers, sergeants, and all other positions you can think of. They were actually leaving the police force. And it was also noticed that the province most of this was happening in was the province of KwaZulu-Natal, which was KZN. Which is KZN and is still currently going on. And one of the reasons for this sudden increase in the departure of policemen from the police force in South Africa is very shocking. And no, I didn't get this reason from the Rambo or Universal Soldier movie. It's an actual reason. You see, in case you didn't know, you have a right to know as a member of the public. Your policemen have an outdated equipment collection. One of the policemen was interviewed yesterday who wished to stay anonymous and explained that one of the main reasons why he left the police force was because he lived in fear. As a policeman living in fear, that raises a lot of eyebrows. You can never take the fear out of the person because they're actually human beings. It doesn't matter what position they're in life, there'll always be fear. But the fear he was talking about was serious fear. I'm talking the fear Goku has for needles. That type of fear. This man mentioned one of the many things we actually as the public didn't know. He said the equipment of the police force was outdated. Now the first thing that comes in your mind is this. Bruh, how on earth is your equipment outdated? And one of the other reasons he gave was that not only is the police force's equipment outdated, specifically in that province, but instead, the criminals' equipment is so advanced now there. It is almost more advanced, scratch that out. It is even more advanced than the police force's equipment. If that's not embarrassing, then I don't know what is. To me, it's almost as embarrassing as when Jacob Zuma said "Fibob" in front of the entire nation in one of his State of the Nation addresses a number of years ago. And before I expose my age because of how long ago that was, I will get back to the topic. If you as a person are not enraged and enfueled by this information, I don't know what is. Because this is one of the many reasons communities are losing more and more hope in the police force. And what happens when a community loses hope in higher authorities, they resort to violence. Because in their eyes, there is no better way to get something done than resorting to pure violence, which is why there's also been an increase in mob justice, which is also one of the reasons why there was the terrible, terrible looting 3 years ago. Because people saw no hope in the higher authorities, so they put matters into their own hands. And I'm sure for those of you that were alive at the time, and are still alive now, you have learned from that looting stage that that's what happens, or you would have learned just a little bit of what happens when people see that there's no hope in higher authorities. They put matters into their own hands because they actually want something to happen, and unfortunately it's violence because there's nothing else they can do. Their voices are not heard. I only have 200 subscribers at the moment. A few handful of people listen to me and the gold I spit, but it's not the entire nation of South Africa. Majority of the nation of South Africa doesn't hear what I have to say. So they still live in that fear. They still don't have that hope. There's no one to speak out for them. And what do they resort to? They resort to violence because of things like these. Can you imagine how scary it is if a community hears that there are police members who quit the police force, or there's like a police station doesn't exist in their place? It's a ghost house now. Simply because of the members who were in that police station that left. They left because the equipment was outdated. They left because the equipment they had was equivalent to the equipment John Rambo had in the 80s. The criminals have equipment almost advanced as the equipment you saw in Black Panther. And yes, I am exaggerating a little bit, but I'm just trying to give you the idea of how advanced the criminals' technology is compared to theirs. And it's not even coming out of my mouth. This is coming out of the mouth of a former police officer. I'm just reinstating, re-emphasizing his words. I'm just re-saying them. He said this out loud yesterday, which is probably one of the reasons he chose to stay anonymous, because I can imagine the fear that was overtaking his heart when he was about to expel these secrets. Can you imagine the amount of higher people than him who would have come from his head, coming to behead him and his entire family, saying you should have never said that, and now you will pay, and so will your family. And there are many people laughing at this situation. There are many people laughing at the situation that there are actual police officers leaving the police force because of how behind they are with technology compared to the criminals. What the fuck? How does that even exist? You'd expect to see a situation like this in the movies, and we are laughing about it. I'm not gonna lie, it is heck funny. But it becomes a problem when the reality gets more and more real by the day. KwaZulu-Natal is not the only province, it's all the other provinces. There is an increase, and I will say that again, there is an increase in the departure of policemen from the police force because their technology is not as advanced as the criminals. So they see the best solution as not instead advancing it, but leaving the police force, giving the criminals an even bigger space to commit their explicit crimes. And we are laughing about this? Well, guess what? The criminals are laughing as well. And before I call it a video, I just wanted to say thank you for my first 200 subscribers on YouTube. Before I started this channel, my main aim was to increase my public speaking skills. But instead, you guys have actually made it an actual thing. Me on YouTube is a thing now. The Summer Sambit is a thing now. You thought I was stopping then? You sure as hell I ain't stopping now. Goodbye.